I'd been looking forward to Somber Echoes since I saw the next-gen graphics in the trailers. The dark, atmospheric world immediately grabbed my attention, and the mix of Greek mythology and a sci-fi horror setting reeled me right in. Metroidvania fans know that these games thrive on tight level design and rewarding progression, and from what I saw in the previews, I was hopeful that Somber Echoes would deliver on both fronts. It quickly became one of my most anticipated games of 2025, link in the description, and now that I've 100%ed it, did it live up to its hype? Let's break it down and find out. The story of Somber Echoes is a unique blend of Greek mythology and sci-fi horror, all set aboard a failing spaceship called the Atromitos. The narrative is steeped in a sense of foreboding, with themes of fate, defiance, and the consequences of ambition driving the story forward. You play as Adrestia, who finds herself in conflict with her twin sister, Harmonia, a power-hungry antagonist seeking dominance. I'm no expert in Greek mythology, so I did a little research and found this out. In an ironic twist, Adrestia, who is often associated with retribution, is the one striving for peace, while Harmonia, who generally represents, you guessed it, harmony, disrupts order. Early in the story, Harmonia's betrayal leads to Adrestia's death, but the gods Ether and Nyx intervene to bring her back, setting her on a path to reclaim her fate. Determined to reach her sister and restore balance, Adrestia embarks on a journey fraught with obstacles, terrifying enemies, and treacherous domains. As she moves forward, she confronts the question of whether Harmonia can truly be redeemed, or if she is destined to fall deeper into destruction. The game introduces notable NPCs like Ares and Hephaestus, who are important, but their presence seems somewhat fleeting, Ares more so than Hephaestus, who is part of an important side quest. They add some depth to the world, but they lack strong personal arcs. The storytelling is elevated by a single narrator whose gorgeous accent gives the plot some weight, but they overdo it with Yoda-like grammatical constructs like, her gratitude she extended. I don't think it's too spoilery to tell you that 2 key quests are necessary to unlock all endings. Gathering the pieces of a shattered necklace so Hephaestus can forge a new one, and finding survivors aboard the Atromitos to inspire them to escape. These side quests enrich the story, reinforcing themes of resilience and hope in the face of destruction. More than just a battle between 2 sisters, Somber Echoes is a tale of personal struggle against inevitable fate. Adrestia's journey is not just about stopping Harmonia, but also about understanding whether change is possible in a world built on cycles of downfall and rebirth. The story thrives on its atmosphere, weaving mythology and sci-fi horror into a compelling narrative that keeps players engaged until the very end. Well, almost. More on that later. For now, let's move into... Somber Echoes delivers a quintessential Metroidvania experience, with its intricate level design, ability-based progression, and heavy emphasis on backtracking. As you explore, you'll discover upgrade materials that change how you interact with the world, including weapon enhancements, Nyx armor upgrades, and a versatile shield. The shield allows for a parry system. While it starts as a skill-based challenge, it eventually becomes overpowered when all attempts at blocking result in perfect parries. I wasn't mad about it. The game includes a mix of melee and ranged options, allowing players to switch between a sword for light attacks, an axe for heavy attacks, and a spear and a bow for ranged attacks. The bow also freezes enemies, but you have to sacrifice health to use it. The varied arsenal allows for experimentation, and when fully leveled, rewards patience and perseverance, as you will crush enemies that once kicked your silly Enemy health bars are absent, including for bosses. I don't like that, but I see it as an intentional choice and not as a flaw in the game. I know there are players who love fighting without enemy health bars. There are 8 boss battles, though only 6 feature unique enemies. None of their names are revealed during the battle, but rather when the achievement for defeating them pops. It's an interesting decision I've seen in other games like the Mobius Machine. Another observation about the bosses is that those near the end feel disappointingly easy once Adrestia is fully leveled, which, for me, made the endgame battles feel anticlimactic. Flying enemies are a particular annoyance, tankier than they typically are in other games. Air combat starts out frustrating, but it improves as the game progresses, allowing you to stay in the air longer, turning those once frustrating enemies into easy targets. Remember the bow that freezes enemies? This is where you want to use it in order to unleash some well-earned revenge. Early game dodging lacks iframes, nudging the player to master parrying. All in all, the game maintains a good combat flow, blending offense and strategy effectively. The game features traversal tools like the Ether Lantern, which replaces your double jump and upgrades over time, eventually allowing for a third jump. This adds new layers to platforming and exploration. Soon into the game, you have the ability to use your Ether Lantern to cling to what I call energy walls, and it has a really cool lighting effect when you do so. I'll show that a little later. Midway through, the game leans heavily into puzzle platforming, a shift that some players might find engaging, while others might feel it interrupts the action-oriented pacing. For me, I felt lied to. I need to know if the game I'm going to play is a puzzle platformer because I'm not always in the mood for them. They require patience, and at the end of a long day, patience is a commodity that I might not have in spades. That said, the platforming is fair and fun to figure out. The map itself is a highlight, allowing players to nickname rooms and use markers, which I probably could have exploited more than what I did. Healing is another unique aspect of Somber Echoes. Instead of a traditional healing system, you recover health by attacking enemies. Striking foes releases small, bluish, sparkly energy particles that Adrestia can absorb, replenishing her Nyx armor. This rewards an aggressive playstyle, though it doesn't allow for carelessness. The lack of a traditional healing mechanic can be punishing, especially in fights where opportunities to regain health are scarce. Fast travel, though, is one of the game's weakest points. While there are multiple systems in place, save points, Kirke gates, teleporters, and a tram system, the result is a convoluted mess that makes late-game backtracking a real pain. Apparently, the devs have listened to the many other players who voiced this criticism, and there will be, or is, potentially, a patch that addresses it. Aside from the endgame cleanup, Somber Echoes maintains a well-balanced pace, taking me about 20 hours for full completion. Bear in mind, I am a slow player, so you'll probably finish the game much more quickly. Currency, called favor, is abundant, and since you need favor along with materials for upgrades, I was glad that I didn't have to grind for this. Dying doesn't result in losing currency either, thank Zeus. That's gameplay in a nutshell. Let's talk about the next-gen graphics shine, giving the game a dark and consistent visual identity. The art direction is a masterclass in creating an oppressive atmosphere, using deep shadows and subtle environmental storytelling to sell the feeling of a decaying, dangerous spacecraft. Every location within the Atromitos feels distinct, from cold metallic corridors littered with remnants of the past, to eerie, overgrown biosections that hint at failed experiments. The use of lighting is particularly striking. Your Ether Lantern not only serves as a gameplay purpose, but also looks really good, creating an otherworldly effect. The way you cling to those aforementioned energy walls, well, let me just show you. Doesn't that look great? The art direction itself adds a sense of depth and realism rarely seen in 2D Metroidvanias. Particle effects, like the bluish energy released from enemies when they're struck, adds an ethereal touch, reinforcing the game's blend of sci-fi and mythology. Character and enemy designs are also impressive, striking a balance between mythological inspiration and biomechanical horror. Adrestia's animations are fluid, and her various armor and weapon upgrades reflect visually, adding a satisfying sense of progression. Meanwhile, enemy designs feel intimidating and grotesque, making every encounter feel like a clash against something truly alien. While the overall aesthetic is stunning, the 2D perspective does present occasional readability issues. Certain doorways or pathways blend too well into the background, unintentionally hiding entry points. Despite this minor flaw, Somber Echoes is visual triumph, elevating its gameplay with immersive, haunting imagery. What's next? The music in Somber Echoes is well crafted and effectively builds atmosphere, though it leans more into ambient tension rather than memorable melodies. The soundtrack consists of haunting orchestral pieces mixed with synthetic undertones, creating an eerie and futuristic feel. While it complements the game well, it doesn't always stand out in a way that makes individual tracks particularly memorable. One of the more impressive aspects of the soundtrack is how it shifts dynamically. Combat sequences intensify with deep percussion and discordant strings, adding urgency to fights, while quieter moments are more subtle, reinforcing the ship's sparse population and unease. However, at times, the transitions can feel predictable, lacking the surprise factor that truly great soundtracks achieve. The sound design does a solid job of immersing players in the decaying halls of the Atromitos. Boots clank against floors, and the distant hums and unsettling noises all add to the game's oppressive atmosphere. Enemy sounds in particular help build tension, making certain encounters unnerving before they even begin. That said, some of these effects can start feeling repetitive over time. The Ether Lantern has its own distinct resonant sound, but weapon attacks lack a certain punchiness that could make combat feel just a bit more satisfying. Overall, while the music and sound design do their job well, they don't quite reach the level of being unforgettable. The atmosphere is strong, but a more varied or standout soundtrack would have elevated the experience further. That's all I really can say about the music and sound. Now, don't you want to know if it's worth buying? Let's talk about... Again, Somber Echoes took me 20 hours of a full completionist playthrough. I'm a very slow player, as I said before, so I'd guess the average would be much shorter, maybe 14 hours. While the game's structure encourages backtracking, the frustrating fast travel system can make this aspect of the gameplay experience tedious rather than rewarding. This has been or will soon be patched, so that should make a huge difference for future players. With 4 different endings and varied endgame combat encounters available, players have a reason to revisit the game and experiment with different choices. That said, you can get all endings and trophies in a single playthrough, so it might not feel necessary or particularly rewarding to replay it. All in all, the $20 price tag at the time of this review, it's on sale on Steam, is worth it, even if you might not be especially compelled to replay the game. So, can I get a little personal?
I really love cats.
No, really. I love scoring systems in my reviews. I never really know what my score will be until I assign and tally up the points for the individual sections. This brings us to the Maestro Mark. The Maestro Mark is determined by 5 key categories, each worth up to 2 points, for a maximum possible score of 10. This year I've introduced an additional 0.5 bonus called the Fun Factor, awarded to games that are particularly enjoyable beyond their objective merits. Narrative, 1.5 points. I love the homage to Greek mythology, but the story would have been even better if the NPCs had compelling backstories, distinctive personalities, or moments that made them stand out in a meaningful way. Gameplay mechanics, 1 point. This game had some of the most interesting platforming I've seen in a long time, but the fast travel mess made the cleanup phase a real slog. Graphics and art direction, 2 points. This is a beautiful game, with creative lighting and grand backdrops. The use of lighting and environmental storytelling is excellent, though some background elements blend too much with the foreground, causing minor readability issues. This criticism didn't rise to the level of a deduction. Music and sound design, 1.5 points. The soundscape is immersive and fitting for the game's tone, though it leans more into ambiance rather than featuring standout tracks. Some sound effects, particularly in combat, could have had more impact. Value and replayability, 1 point. It's on sale for $20 on Steam at the time of this review, which is a good value, I think, for the amount of time it takes to 100% the game, but unless it's fixed, and I think it will be or it may already be, the fast travel system will actively discourage players from doing it all again. Fun factor, 0 points. I thought it was a lot of fun until the end, but that end almost totally ruined the experience for me. This gives a score of 7 out of 10, which means I think you might like it. For those that enjoy methodical platforming, intense combat, and a unique take on mythology, Somber Echoes is absolutely worth playing. However, its lack of accessibility options, underwhelming NPC interactions, and late game difficulty balancing keep it from reaching masterpiece status. What do you think? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe for more in-depth game reviews. Let me know in the comments if Somber Echoes is on your radar, or if you played it, what you thought about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.